Greetings, legendary readers. Welcome to Larry's Legendary Library, where we explore science fiction, fantasy, and the deeper wonder within them. Some authors used the occasional pseudonym, more of a one-and-done thing, but then there are others, they used a crazy number of dozens of pseudonyms. It's just incredible. Today we're going to continue our series on pseudonyms and talk about the most extreme pseudonym users. We usually think of a pseudonym as a disguise, one author, one hidden name. And it certainly can be that, but in the Pulp era, something strange started to happen. There are some authors that didn't stop after one name or two names or even five names. They became dozens of names. So why did this happen? Well, here are two reasons. I'm sure there are others. The first is market pressure. To understand this, you have to understand the world they were writing in. The pulp magazines didn't just want stories, they needed them. And those months just kept coming month after month relentlessly, and they constantly needed new content. Editors didn't want one name dominating an issue. So if you were an author that was prolific, you became someone else. The second reason is market freedom. One name might be science fiction, and then an author would write under another name for romance or another name for adventure. Each name unlocked a different door. It wasn't just a disguise, it was a different voice, a different way of thinking, and a different way of seeing the world. And doing so under different names, you could do that without diluting your base readership under that particular genre. I want to give some examples of these most extreme pseudonym users. Robert Silverberg. In the 1950s, Robert Silverberg didn't just write science fiction, he flooded the market. Dozens of stories, dozens of names. Sometimes he was competing with himself in the same issue. In 1958, he had over 80 stories published alone in that 1 year. Next week in Magazine Monday, I'll be covering some of Robert Silverberg's pseudonyms more specifically. Next, we have Kenneth Bomer. Kenneth Bomer, a British novelist who wrote over 160 novels using at least 22 pseudonyms. Adam Hardy was the name he used for naval adventures, Bruno Krauss for World War II stories, Arthur Fraser for medieval stories, and many more. He even created fake biographies for his fake names. And then there's John Creasy, a British crime and mystery author. He wrote over 600 novels using at least 25 pseudonyms. At that level of productivity, the author stops being a person and becomes an industry unto himself. And I couldn't very well talk about pseudonyms without talking about house names. Books written under a single pseudonym, but that pseudonym was used by multiple authors. I'll be covering this more in depth in next week's episode for this miniseries. I'll just cover two quick examples today. Kenneth Robeson was the pseudonym used for the Doc Savage books. Lester Dent wrote most of the stories, but there were at least 5 other authors who wrote books. And then there's Victor Appleton. He was the pseudonym used for the popular children's book series Tom Swift. Ghostwriters were put on contract and required to keep anonymity. And here's a fun fact. The word taser comes from this, and it stands for Thomas A. Swift's electric rifle. The deeper wonder of this, I'll have to admit, pseudonyms intrigue me. On one hand, we have single authors using many different pseudonyms. On the other hand, we have a single pseudonym used by many different authors. We tend to think of authors as singles, a single name representing a single person, but especially during the Pulp era, that tells a different story. For April, I've been focusing on the theme of the collector's mind, and certainly pseudonyms are of great interest to collectors. And just a reminder, on Monday, we'll focus on Robert Silverberg pseudonyms, and next Wednesday, we will take a deeper look at house names. If you are enjoying my content, I encourage you to subscribe and follow along as we continue to discuss the deeper wonder of science fiction and fantasy. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep exploring the deeper wonder.